All righty, we are live. Just get this fired up here. We're gonna kind of get right into it today, due to the fact of time. But let me get everything rolling here. Just going in a sec. All right. All right. We're gonna get going in a minute. Just gonna give people a minute or two to get here. Just make sure I got everything up and running. Looks like we're good there. We're good there. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of in a minute or two. Just gonna today, due to the fact time constraints. So I'll just give everybody about a minute or two to get here, and then we're going to just get right into it today. Plus, I want to go over the conference for the weekend. Everything's set. Just want to put that out there, and you should have seen the information on that, but I'll run through that. And then we will get into it. All right. So, all right, let's see, we got Shara Regina and Brother Duma. What's going on? I'm waiting. I'm just going to find my spot. And shit, I don't know what I did with it, but I'll find it. All right. I'll find that spot. All right, we're going to start in a minute. All right, I got my spot. All right, just going to give it another minute. And I'll run through some announcements, especially for the upcoming weekend, for those of you guys that signed up for the Journey of the Black Addict Conference. You get your link. I'm waiting until Thursday to send that out. This way it gives as many people time to sign up. I'm just trying to do it all in one shot, so I ain't got to keep going back, sending multiple links. I have a list of everybody that signed up. So you'll get that information. I know some of you guys have emailed me. I am responding in emails. That the initial email that you signed up to let you know that. So I'll go over that in a second, just to keep everybody up to par with that. All right. Let's start at 3:45. So here's 3:45. I'm going to go ahead again. Got here a few minutes late, and I'll go ahead and start the Instagram. Matter of fact, let's do it now. There we go. Let's get live on Facebook, and let's go live on Instagram. All right. I want to welcome everybody. So we are live on 3 platforms. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we are obviously live here on Primordial Chaos YouTube. For those that are watching, I'll repeat this again when more come in. If you're on Instagram, this will only be live for the first hour. Then you'll have to slide over either to Facebook or to the YouTube page to catch the rest of it. All right. So let me get to the announcements real quick, because a lot going on this week. That's why I'm kind of just jumping right into it, not really wasting any time. A lot needs to be done. So first and foremost, the Black Adept Conference number 3 is set. It is complete. As you saw a few days back, earlier in the week, we posted the itinerary. We also posted the list of the presenters. All right. So just format, even though it's on the flyers, for those that are maybe asking, what's the itinerary like? Well, here's pretty much the exact itinerary now that it's done as of the beginning of the week. So on Friday, we start 11 a.m. 4 presentations on Friday. Ravana Noon will be doing the first one, Binding Spirits. That will be followed. Who's the second presenter on Friday? Brother Angel Figueroa will be doing African Witchcraft and Sorcery. Third presenter will be Brother Jack, developing techniques to master yourself on the left-hand path. And then the fourth presenter of the day, Blair, will be doing What is Sexual Energy on the left-hand path. That's Friday's presenters. That should end around 4:30ish. Then we will convene and return back at 9 p.m. later that evening to do the ritual. The ritual will not be discussed openly. You'll get that information if you signed up on the first day of the conference. So that information will be given to you at the conference on the first day of the ritual. The second day, same format. We start at 11. We have 4 presenters. On Saturday, we have Sister Patra. She's going to be working with healing energy and spiritual techniques in regards to healing from a left-hand path occult perspective. So she's going to be talking about various topics that she'll kick that off on Saturday. The second presenter on Saturday will be Brother Kevin. He'll be doing the Matrix, breaking down this whole matrix and matriarchal system through Gematria. He'll be using, again, the science of Gematria, a totally different perspective. He did one last year. This year he's going to take it a whole step further. Raven will be doing the left-hand path presentation on the 7 Hermetic principles in the Bible. And then I will be doing shadow work using dark alchemy and some of the Sith philosophies too. I'll be incorporating a couple of different methodologies on how to do shadow work correctly. All right. Then that will convene again around 4:30ish, and then we will come back 9 o'clock on the second night to do the second ritual. Okay. And then we finish it off on Sunday with a question and answer, open question and answer forum. I'll be doing that on Sunday around. We'll set the exact time, but early afternoon, just depending on how late we get done on Saturday. And that's just going to be an open session to talk about the weekend. Any questions you might have about the path or about what we did, it could be in reference to anything. That will be Sunday, and that will finish it off. So it is a 3-day event. You can sign up until Friday morning. Cutoff is about Friday at 9 a.m. Then it gets a little bit too complicated to link people in. So you have until Friday morning to sign up if you haven't signed up. The cost of the 3-day conference is $75. That's for all 3 days. That gets you into both days, presentations, rituals, and the class on Sunday. You can pay for that via PayPal using the email in the description box here of the videos. Also, it's on the Instagram. It's on Facebook, the KNUM, the KHNUM19@gmail.com. And your payment for the conference, please state what it's for, and please list your email address so the link gets sent to the right email address. Very important. All right, so that's the conference. It's all set. We got 8 presenters. We got 2 rituals, and we have a class on Sunday. It's a 3-day event. So we're trying to make the best of this with the COVID. Obviously, the first 2 years we did it in person. So hopefully by next year we can get back to doing the live event. But we're going to make the best of it. And I know a bunch of you have signed up already for the conference. But again, you have until Friday morning, 9 a.m. is the cutoff Eastern Standard Time. Let me just stress that out there. So I'm being as open and giving people as much time to sign up. Again, 9 a.m. Friday morning, Eastern Standard Time is pretty much that's the cutoff. After that, we'll be kind of busy doing what we're doing. I won't be able to see any emails. And we'll be getting ready for that. That's pretty much as far as the conference is concerned. Also, readings and consultations, I'm squeezing them in between. But I won't be doing any for that 4-day period. But you could still send me an email if you are interested in getting a telepathic reading. There's several. You can email me. I'll tell you what kinds are available. If you're interested in a reading with Santa Muerte and the spirits of the dead, shadow reading. And I will soon be starting telepathic astrology readings. All right, it's a little different than traditional astrology. I'll explain that in a little bit. I'll be starting that soon. And deity readings, which just basically identify specific deities you're connected to simply by using your name and your birth date. I'll explain that later down the road. So you can still reach out to me for a reading or a consultation. We could still schedule it, but I just will put out there there'll be nothing available from Thursday to Sunday this week. I will be doing readings and consultations up until Wednesday, and then I will restart them the following Monday after the conference is over. So I won't be scheduling anything from Thursday to Sunday. Those in the mentorship program, I've already talked to you guys about that. If you had your call the previous week, your call we'll pick calls back up again first week in November. I encourage you, if you guys have not checked out my Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI. There's 5 different tier levels on there. I'm doing private videos, classes, lectures, and rituals. Just look at the tier levels. It tells you what you get for that tier level. Tier 5 is a mentorship program, the Red Magus mentorship program. It's basically a program that you work with me one-on-one to develop your path to self-mastery. It is work. If you're serious and you're looking to take it to the next level as far as how to work black magic, how to work these spiritual concepts and occult practices, then that's the program for you. But it is work. There's not only just written assignments, there's spiritual work. It's not just an investment of money, it's an investment of time and a commitment. So it's very important that you understand that, because again, as I've said many times before, I don't want you to waste my time and I don't want you to waste your time. All right. So that's the main things going on. We have the conference, which is the #1 priority and focus. That'll be the thing through the week. So I wanted to get on here for the final time this week. I'm looking forward to it. We had actually, to the Patreon family, we had a great ritual on Friday night. We did the ritual of working with Mephistopheles. I appreciate everybody's feedback on that ritual. So again, I would encourage you to check out the Patreon page. We do a lot of ritualistic work there privately in a group setting. And I'm sure you can find something on there that you can connect with. So we'll work the rest of this week through the conference. And again, once that's through and complete, we'll get back to kind of more of a normal regular schedule. All right. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Also, make sure after you hit the notification bell, you hit receive all notifications. You got to hit that bell, scroll down, because some people, again, as I said before, don't get all the notifications if that is not activated. So you got to hit the notification bell, then hit the drop box and hit all notifications if you want to get all notifications when a video or a live post like this. Hit the like button. The more likes the channel gets, it expands out and reaches more platforms and more people. All right. Other than that, let's kind of get into the topic: success and failure on the path to self-mastery, the occult, the left-hand path, whatever you want to call it. That's whatever. It's irrelevant. This is important because rather than I throw it out there all the time, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth. And we're going to be a little bit more specific with it. We're going to go into certain areas and aspects. And the purpose of doing this video is so you can identify kind of where you're at. You can gauge where you're at. So let me just get this out of the way. I know I greeted some of you, but infernal blessings to everybody else. Truth Addict, and also Catch 22, L3. What's going on, brother? Katate Mama, brother Edgar, Hermit, Yvette, and everybody else. So if I didn't greet you personally. And again, a reminder to those on Instagram, we will be live on here for the first hour. After the first hour, you have to come over to the Primordial Chaos Facebook page or YouTube, either one. All right. Results is the only thing that matters. All right. I want to make sure I put that out there. I don't give a shit what it is you're doing. People, you could be doing something for so long, that doesn't mean it's right. You could be doing something for so many years because you're accustomed and comfortable with it. But if it's not making great transformational change in your life on all levels, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. And look, just because you like it, it's not the thing that you need to be doing. Well, we all like a lot of shit, but that doesn't mean that that's the productive thing for us to do. We got, first and foremost, we have to separate what we like from what we need to do. Okay, that's the first concept to understand this. This is how you start to gauge results. Okay, a lot of people that I've encountered over the years who practice a lot of different spiritual systems, philosophies, dogmas, whatever you want to call it. I have seen an issue where they're very obviously complacent. What I mean by that is they get comfortable. They get in that comfort zone because it keeps them grounded to the sense where they don't really have to challenge themselves. They get into a regular routine, kind of like a Christian does when they go to church every week. It becomes routine, it becomes normal, it becomes familiar. So really you're going through the motions, but you're not really learning anything. Now I say that because this path is the complete opposite. This path is supposed to make you uncomfortable in the sense that you're always on your toes. You're always challenged, okay? So how do we know if we're succeeding and we're failing on this path? So let me say this, just because you're on the path, or just because you make the declaration you're on the path, that necessarily doesn't mean you're really on the path. It just means you made the verbal statement you're on the path. Because there's a lot of people in those groups who say they're occult, say they're left-hand path, say they practice this. But practicing it is putting it in to your everyday life. It's a way of life, this path. It's not something we do when it's convenient. And I can only attest for myself and people that I deal with. This is a way of life for us. We live, eat, breathe, shit, piss, and sleep this every day. This is a very core fabric existence or part of our life. That's the difference. We don't play occultist on the weekend. We don't play occultist left-hand path and get on YouTube and just, want to portray to everybody else what it is we think we know. No, we don't do that. So we have to make sure, are we living the life or are we playing part-time practitioner? That's another problem. Another technique of knowing if you're getting results. Then we have to make sure we're establishing, is what we're doing really what this path represents, or are we getting conflicted and mixing shit? That's another huge problem. I've been talking a lot about that for the last few years, all right? I'm going to go to a short section, which is going to kind of cover all these topics. It's a very short section in the Draconian Ritual book. And it talks about, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I will point out some key points that are very useful here. And this was actually the motivating factor to do this video, success and failure. All right. It's, if you have the book, you can take a look at it. Don't know where it starts on the digital. I know some people have a digital format of it. Not sure where that starts, but if you have the hard copy, it is on page 264. This is a very important section. I'm going to expound on it, obviously, and I'm going to go in depth because it touches on that. All right. All right. Many magicians see the left-hand path as a beautiful spiritual journey, ensuring fast and concrete results and empowering their life in many wonderful ways. On the other hand, many others describe it as a horrible experience, draining energy and causing all sorts of imbalance. Success and failure constitute two important pillars that validate the path. All right, this is important right here, okay? If a magical path or ritual system never triggers any forms of crisis and never confronts you with any difficult situations, there is something wrong with it, okay? That's important to understand. Let me say that again. There's something wrong with it, okay? Let me back up and repeat that. This is probably key point number one. If it never confronts you with any difficult situation, there is something wrong with it, and it does not lead to any true initiation. So if you're coming on this path and you think you're going to avoid dealing with conflict, and we're talking about personal stuff, dealing with obstacles, challenges, and issues, then I can tell you right now, it's probably best you just go ahead and go back to doing what it is you were doing. This is why what I was saying a few minutes ago, people get comfortable, and I watch how they transition over to this, but they keep bringing the old shit with them where they came from, because that's the security blanket. That's what blankets their fears and their insecurities, because if I dive into the left-hand path and start working with the clear path. But if I still hold on to some Santeria traditional stuff, I'm safe. They don't even realize they're doing it. And sometimes you can't even tell them because they're so engulfed in it. I'm telling you, you could look, bottom line, you can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what you can and cannot do. That's irrelevant. But I'm going to tell you it doesn't work. And unfortunately, we have the dabblers that got 1 foot in, they're playing feetsy. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Doesn't work. All right. Then it goes on to say, we all experience success and failure in certain stages of our work. But in the long run, everything depends on how we approach them. How many times have I said over the years, step one, your success and the results you get is heavily based on how you approach things. I've said that a million times. Some people's approach is sloppy as shit. They're lazy. They don't make no time to do nothing. They always find excuses of what they can't do, but can never give you any reasons of what they can do. So right out the gate, some people have a very sloppy, unsuccessful approach. And I've said many times before, look, don't get it twisted. This is work. This is time. This is energy, right? It can be a very rewarding path if you're willing to put the work in. And that's why I talk about that in reference when I bring up the mentorship program. I don't want nobody signing up if you're not willing to put in the time and the commitment for yourself. Okay? This is a huge problem. People's approach out the gate is sloppy. And we know Leviathan represents the principle of continuity and existence. In that continuity, there has to be consistency. You have to be consistent at what you do. You can't just read a few books, do a couple of rituals, and then get frustrated while you're not getting results. Because as it just read, this is not a path where you snap your fingers, light a few candles, say a few invocations, and all your problems are solved. You'd be an idiot or a fool to think that. Okay? Let's go on. So the approach. And the lessons that we learn from situations. It is not possible to mention all reasons why magicians fail on the path, because there are many reasons as there are practitioners, but let us discuss at least the most common mistakes and misunderstandings in magical practice. So now let's get into depth about successes and failures, right? And I think the important thing is sometimes we can't identify the failures, or let me even rephrase that. Maybe it's not that we can't identify, maybe we don't find, we act like it doesn't exist, or we find a reason to bypass them or a justification of why I'm failing, right? First of all, magic is not for everyone. Draconian magic on the left-hand path in general, and we're just going to really be speaking from a left-hand path self-mastery perspective, not just draconian. It is a demanding path that requires a lot of time. Self-discipline, and there's that word, patience. So what does this require to master yourself? Self-discipline, okay? Time, patience. Say it again. Self-discipline, time, and most of all, the hardest school to master, patience, right? Any great mystic, sage, wise person in many different spiritual philosophies and schools of thought always tell the initiate, the adept, the neophyte, patience is the hardest school to master. We all struggle with it to different levels of degrees because we want everything quick. We want everything right now. We want everything in the moment. And unfortunately, that's just not reality. Now, as you get more skilled and progress on the path, yes, you start to notice things happen quicker. I'm not saying it can't. It does. What I am saying is it's rare to expect it right out the gate. Some people get frustrated because it's not happening for them. And then you evaluate their approach. Well, then I first think, well, what is it you're doing? Then I find out they don't have the right environment or atmosphere to do their work. Their timing is out of whack. It's way off. Their planning is horrible. Their intent is not lined up with the ritualistic work that they're trying to do. All of that is important. I've told you guys a million times, go into the book of Belial, the Satanic Bible, and read the satanic ingredients to black magic. If you use that as an outlet to guide your ritual planning, I guarantee you won't go wrong. All of those key factors in the satanic ingredients of black magic are basically timeless. I don't care. I'm not saying the original satanic Bible, there's some, it was written at a certain time. I understand that. I'm not saying everything in there is 100% accurate, but I understand also the time it was written at. But the section of the Book of Belial and the satanic ingredients to black magic, that's timeless. That is a piece of work and information that anybody on this path can use for anything. That's going to help you to understand, is your approach in line correctly? Because then when people evaluate it, they go, shit, this is why I'm struggling. Because of all the aforementioned things. That's important. All right. Then it goes on to say, and it involves many sacrifices in your personal life. It is the way of ups and downs, phases of bliss and joy, and periods of despair and severe depression. It is possible to study, it says draconian magic here, but we're going to say anything on this path, theoretically, and even develop the basic skills that will make you a successful magician in a certain area of practice. But to truly succeed on the path, you have to dedicate your whole life to the work. That's what I said earlier when I said, this is the way of life. This is about living, breathing, eating, and sleeping this 24/7. It's a way of life. Because if not, you will get what was just described there. You will get periods of success. You dabble. You want to be a dibble dabbler, but then you want to go back and play Santeria Ifa. You want to be a dibble dabbler, then you want to go back and play Kemetic spiritualist. You want to be a dibble dabbler, then you want to go back and play pagan, Wicca, and New Age. It's not going to work. And if you understand what you're unlocking, remember talked about serious states of depression, imbalances. When you are taking an influx of emotional energy like that, not only are you not aware of what it does to you subconsciously, it can throw you completely out of whack on a multitude of levels, emotionally, spiritually, and yes, it can trickle down into the physical, okay? Because you need to, one, understand the energies you're working with. So this can throw you completely, all right? Then it goes on to say, about dedicating your whole life to the work and becoming a living manifestation of the current. There are very few people willing to do this level of commitment. That's what this path is about. And that's why I said in the beginning, if you're not willing to do that, then you're just a dabbler. You read books, you know a little bit about it. You might do a couple of rituals here and there. That's cool. But again, you can make the profession of the tongue that you're on the path, but doesn't mean you're on the path. You can go to somebody, yeah, I'm on the path to self-mastery. Or yeah, I'm a left-hand path practitioner. But is it reflecting? Are you a living manifestation of the current, as it said here? Are you a living manifestation of that? That goes along the line of what I've been saying for years. Are you a living example of what it is you say you advocate? Most people would probably have to say no. You should be setting that example. You should be a reflection of it. Not just saying it, not because I got a collection of books on the occult, not just because I wear a big Baphomet pendant, not just because, I got a shirt with Samael Sajil on it. I mean, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. But it goes deeper than that. Because I know when I get the right moment, because I take this path seriously and I do it in private. And if you come down here and you come in the temple, I'm going to pull you aside. We're going to have a little conversation. I want to pick your brain. I want to see, what is your understanding of magic? I want to understand what your perception on this, and is it in line or in accordance? Not for me, but is it in line in accordance with what this path is about and represents? Because when you come in the midst of certain people, that shit's got to line up. So this is why I've done for over the last couple of years when, people, before the COVID stuff, people would always ask, why do you have to request an invite? Because I just don't want anybody here. That's why. We started out in the very beginning a few years back. It was kind of an open thing, but then I saw the crowd it was attracting. It was just a bunch of curious seekers. And I saw how they got, I can tell you stories. And I know if Brother Jack and Raven and Mike and some of the mothers we had, they would tell you stories too. We saw that it wasn't the right thing to do because we had a lot of fakers or people faking the funk. as I like to say, that was showing up. And some did damage to themselves because they didn't know what they were getting into. But then we had to come together and realize, yeah, we got to put kind of a limitation on this. So we started doing a basic screening. And some of you might be in here now, know what that is. You wanna request an invite to a ritual. You have a little one-on-one phone conversation. And I need to see where your head is at, because you can't come in the midst of a group and destroy that energy. That's the purpose of it. And some, not many, some get rejected and turned away because it's just not a right fit. And you know that when it's a person that's just curious and they just want to find out what's going on. Like, they come in because they're curious. And what's the old adage? Curiosity kills the cat, right? I've seen that curiosity kill a lot of people. We had one lady that came out of the blue. I'll never forget. It was back in 2016. And when that shit was over, that lady ran out of there like she saw a ghost and she never returned. That was when we were doing it in the old location. And that was the awakening moment for me. Like, no, we got to put a cap on this. Okay? We have to put a cap on this because it's not for everybody. All right? All right. Then he goes on to say, there are very few people willing to do that. Think for the moment of what you would and would not do to succeed on the path. You can even make a list. If you have at least one thing on the list of what you would not do, this thing can lead to your failure at a certain point on your path. You only have a chance to succeed if this list is empty. See that? So it's using a metaphor, the author here, Asenet Mason, is using a metaphor. Do you have any limitations of what you're willing to do? And if you have a list of limitations, then there's your answer. Your chance to succeed is 0. Okay? Because this path is about being open and embracing whatever change comes. And I'm not talking about being willing to do something illegal or that's going to get you in trouble. That's not what we're talking about. But we are saying from a spiritual perspective, there's no limitation. From a ritualistic perspective, there's no limitation. Because that's where the transformation and growth is, right? What's the purpose of ritual? Rituals aren't just done just to be doing them because they're cool or whatever the shit. Rituals bring about transformation and change. That's why we do them, right? We don't just do them because it's a religious practice, like a religious person goes to a church service or a Muslim performs salat. We don't do it because it's some religious obligation that we are required to do. No, the difference is our rituals are designed based on our needs. So the needs is what's the motivation to do the ritual, and the ritual is what brings about the transformation and the change. So now you should be in your mind, it's even more critical important that your approach is solid. So if you're going to work and your environment's fucked up, or you're rushing it, or you didn't plan it right, or you don't have the necessary tools and implements to do the work, or you're in an environment that's not conducive, then the bottom line is that's where you're going to be. You're gonna fail at what you're doing. I wish I could sugarcoat it. I wish I could simplify it even more. I wish I could say there's a gray line in between there that, oh no, don't worry, work your way through it. No, if you are not willing, as it says here, to not have any limitations of what you would do to be successful on this path, you're a dabbler. I hate to say it. It's not being judgmental. It's fact. You're a dabbler. You study, you read some books, but that's it. Let's continue. Another thing to consider is the common misunderstanding of initiation, traditional initiation. Magical power is not a gift that is bestowed on the magician at the moment of initiation. It is something that each of us carries within, and we all can learn how to use it by continuous learning, training, developing skills and powers, and polishing and perfecting what we have learned until now. Self-initiation is one of the most powerful forms of initiation. Here's another stumbling block why people struggle on this path. Because they're still infatuated with getting traditionally initiated in some shit. They still don't believe they can do it themselves. So they feel validated if they go to some babalawo and did a ceremony and paid thousands of dollars to do it, and then got some beads and a pat on the back, and now they're a son of Ogun. I'm telling you this because I went through that. And if the traditional thing is your thing, fine. But
This path is about self-initiation, going through self-rights, because there's nothing more powerful than when you self-initiate yourself into something. It's a different feeling. Nobody else has control over the energy. Nobody else is making that personal connection with the spirits and the demons but you. Whereas in traditional systems, okay, there's a medium that's doing it for you. There's the middleman or the middlewoman. Yes, and I'm not saying for the moment it might feel good, gives you a good feel good, but then you start to see when that wears off, reality kicks in that it's still about you, and you still got to do the work, and you still got to put the effort and time into it, and you still got to plan, and you still got to develop your own path, regardless of if you're in a traditional system up under somebody. And then sometimes you start to see it for what it is. Self-initiation, which is self-empowerment, right? And then people always say, well, how can I work with systems that require some traditional initiation? Well, step one is get that traditional bullshit out of your mind. And if you don't accept in your mind that you have the power and the ability to do it, then it's not going to work for you. Of course it's not. And I'm telling you this, again, from a person that came through many traditional systems of initiation, Palo. I went through all that stuff and others. And again, I found out that I've gotten more results branching out off my own, and me being the sole ruler and control of my sovereignty, spiritual sovereignty, and my path, I've gotten greater results. Okay. And I started to find out once I left that mindset of servitude, things started to change. Okay. Okay. That's the key. Got to get out of a mind of servitude, that you constantly have to serve something or somebody. Because in all those systems, it's being loyal to the priest or the priestess. Then the priest or the priestess is constantly feeding you. You got to do this. You got to do that. You need to do this ritual. You got to do that. And of course, it involves tons of money. So now you're back to servitude and mental slavery. Okay? This path is the complete opposite. This path is like you're going to do it yourself. You're going to be giving the information and the knowledge and the wisdom of how to do it, but you got to do it for yourself. And some people just can't grasp that because they're so infatuated with the idea of getting initiated in something so they can walk around and go, look, I'm initiated in this. Look, I'm initiated in that. And at the end of the day, 90% of them, when you pick their brain, they don't know shit anyway when you talk to them. Just because you got a title, just because you got some beads around your neck that gives you claim to something you were initiated. And again, I'm saying this from somebody that went through that traditionally. So I'm not speaking out my ass. It doesn't mean nothing. I know, because I'm coming from an internal experience. And I'm sure some of you out there, same thing. You can make that same claim. All right. I think you get the point. Then it goes on and it says, okay, there we go. This is a process that has no final goal. So this is not like you wake up one day and you've achieved everything. You mastered it. You're good. Where some systems you get, there's degrees, there's positions, and there's title, and then you get to a certain, then you're there. No, this doesn't have anything to do with that. Self-deification does not mean that when you reach the end of the path, you will become a god sitting on a throne among the stars and doing nothing. Would you really like to spend an eternity in everlasting boredom? And I've always asked this to religious people, especially Christians. What happens when we die and go to heaven? And then you get this look. We'll be eternally with God. Well, what happens? Are we going to be floating around in the sky with little fat white kids in diapers? What? Are we going to be sitting on clouds? What is it we're going to be doing? Oh, we'll be in eternity. They give you all this rhetoric, this nonsense, this foolishness, that, kindergarten mythology, fairy tales that you can feed the little children. And they expect us as, some of us as mature thinking adults to accept this. Okay? So there's no finality on this path. You can't. Existence always continues to exist. Even when your physical existence is complete here and you start to make the transformation or transition to the spiritual realm, for lack of a better word, or back into ether or energy, right? You can't destroy energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can be contained. It can be manipulated. It can be controlled. That's what we do as magicians. right? But you can't destroy it. So existence is just that. It's existence. So there's no finality in this. There's no sitting on the throne in the clouds like religion teaches, right? It's a wake-up call, right? This path should not be seen as linear. Remember, I always talk about linear time. Get that out your head. Or as a quest that has a beginning and an end. It is a never-ending, continuous, always going back to the roots and starting all over, like the Ouroboros serpent. What is the Ouroboros serpent, right? We all see this symbol. It's also connected to Leviathan because it has the serpent with the tail in its mouth, right? It represents that principle of continuity and existence, continual, right? The Ouroboros constantly reminds us when we say starting all over that things are in cycles. It reminds us that linear time is an illusion. That's what the serpent with the tail in its mouth represents to us on this path. I know there's different meanings depending on perceptions of it, but in essence, it's another form of what Leviathan or the primordial chaotic energy represents, because what's the root of this path? Primordial chaos. That's the root. Everything emerges from that dark primordial chaotic abyss. Everything. The gods, the goddesses, demons, spirits, us, right? The oldest form of the adversary was darkness, right? Referred to a piece by Gerald Massey that he wrote in the early 1900s. The devil of darkness and intelligence. And he talks about the oldest adversary was darkness itself. Stop looking at the archetypes literally and getting trapped in one specific archetype you like. Why do you think there's many masks of Lucifer? Why do you think there's many masks of the adversary? Because they represent different characteristics of what emerges from that darkness. But darkness as a whole, by the way, which the planet is engulfed in darkness at all times. If you're in outer space, you're engulfed in darkness all the time. Don't get into that flat earth shit. Don't even waste my time. I don't want to hear it. Because I know there might be some flat earthers out there watching this later and be like, but the flat earth, fuck the flat earth. You can't factually prove that either. Okay? Darkness was the oldest form of the adversary. And in that darkness, I say this all the time, there's no limitations, there's no boundaries, there's no beginning, there's no end, there's no start, no finish, there's no time. Linear time is non-existent. The Ouroboros is a reminder of that, right? That's how we look at that symbol. Okay, it's the serpent that devours its own tail. When one goal is reached, another appears. And what do I keep saying? You should never ever wake up on this path being content. You should always have goals. How do you get up every day with no goals in life? You just wake up, and what's your motivation for getting out of bed every day? Ask yourself. I'm not talking about the mundane shit. Of course, we all get out of bed every day to make money, get paid. I get that. But what is your goal for that money and getting paid? What do you want to do with that money? What are some of the achievements you want to accomplish with that money? Everybody wants. This is what I'm saying. People always come with these rehearsed, mundane answers. I get all that. But what are your goals? What do you want to do with that wealth? What are you trying to achieve and become? What is your purpose and your goal in life? That's what we do and how we look on this path. Not just like, I want to have tons of money and a nice house and a nice car. We all want that. That's basic shit. I'm not talking about that. I get it. What are your bigger objectives in life? As it says, after one goal is accomplished, another goal appears. That also applies to chaos. After you eliminate and devour and master your chaos, chaos is continuing to come over that horizon, right? Or the Horus rising. Set devours chaos. Chaos comes over the Horus rising. Set Heru represents harmony within the Black Adept, right? The image of the one body with Set's head facing one way, Heru facing the other way. That represents the harmony of the dark and light energies that we need to master ourselves. Yes, you do need certain percentage of those lighter energies, but the right percentage for you. But we also know that darkness and that chaos is where it all emerges from. Set represents the higher self. Heru or Horus is the lower or the weaker self, the conformist self. That's what that image reminds us of. The symbolic story of Osiris getting bit slapped by Set is a symbolic story of you conquering your lower self. I know everybody likes to promote this Horus stuff. Horus is a savior. Oh, the Horus, it's the same story as Jesus in the Bible. Why are you still trapped in that? Yeah, we know that, but there's a bigger picture to it. It really represents you conquering your lower self. Stop getting caught up in, I told you a couple years back, I think it was 2016, 17, somewhere around there. On the old Facebook page we had, I posted that picture that you guys probably seen. I posted a few times of set bitch slapping Horus, and people went out of their goddamn mind, the religious people. Oh, that's disrespectful. Oh, Father Horus. Listen to this shit, Father Horus. Look at these religious ass Christian occultists. If you're offended by it, number one, fuck you, I don't care. Let's just get that out the way. I don't sit around worrying about if your emotions got shattered, because that's some immature bitch shit. Number two, I did it intentionally because I got the reaction I knew I would get from the most part, to show how people can get caught up in their emotions and get religious. See, when you're past that, it doesn't affect you. See, I didn't look at it like that. It's not a disrespect to Heru. It's understanding what they represent to us on this path. Heru holds a place. There's an aggressive aspect of Heru as the hawk-faced Lord. And I talked about that before. That's a whole nother path. Okay? So it's just your understanding, but don't get mad if my understanding, or I should say understanding of it, is beyond your religious understanding. Okay? You can get mad. You don't have to like it, but I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me. Okay? That's some shit you got to work out personally with yourself. So let's stop with this religious approach to things. That's step one. Chaos will come over the horizon, right? How many of you, I've said this many times before, how many people have restless nights of sleep, worrying about certain things? Chaos comes just like the story of Ra. When Ra fends off a pep from the midnight hours till dawn, the same thing, you ward off a pep mentally. When a pep comes to you with all types of worries, I got to do this tomorrow. I got to get this problem fixed. I'm struggling with this. I got money problems. I got to fix this situation. That's chaos coming to you in the late hours of the nocturnal night. That's what Ra symbolic was trying to destroy. And that represents you and your journey on this path. Okay, stop looking at this stuff from a religious perspective. Utilize it to empower you, not to control you, not to confine you, and not to use it in the judgment sense. Because that's what people do. It's a problem. All right. All right. When one goal is reached, another one. Each time we perform a ritual, it is different and more intense. Whenever we go back to what we explored in the past, we experience it on a deeper level, and a new knowledge is revealed. It is a multitude of possibilities, powers to gain, worlds to explore. The path is the goal in itself. And that's what I said. The purpose of ritual is to bring about transformation and change. Confirmation. And that's why I've said it many times before. Ask yourself, go back and gauge the results from your ritual. Are you getting the transformation and change? Are the results manifesting? Not the mundane shit. Oh, it was so powerful. Oh, and it felt this and I felt that. That's all aesthetic stuff. That's cool. But I'm not talking about that. We all have our personal experiences in ritualistic work. What we see, hear, and feel. That's great. I'm saying when you go back and you gauge it and look at your life, is there change on all levels? Can you look back, if you've been on this path for a couple of months, couple of years, whatever, can you truly say from the first moment you emerged on this path, there's a big difference? And if you can, power to you. If you can't, then you need to really go back and reevaluate there's something you're not doing right. Okay? Because don't get it twisted. If your approach is out of whack, like I said earlier, you'll get nothing out of this, just like anything else in life. All right, let me give you a further example. If you play sports, if you don't practice your craft, I don't care if it's basketball, football, baseball, hockey, whatever it is. If you don't practice your craft, you don't become good at it. That's just fact. That's why athletes have to put in work. If you're a sports athlete, you know what I'm talking about. You have to train. You have to do exercises and practices that sharpen your craft. I'm using the athletic metaphor to get you to see the same thing. This is no different. If you're not consistent in practicing your craft, you will not get no results out of this path. It'll be no different than being a Christian who sits in church every Sunday and listens to Reverend Porkchop say the same old shit week in and week out. It's no different. You're just doing it from another methodology, unfortunately. That's fact. Okay? Then it goes on to say, most people live their life without any deeper meaning. They wake up every day, go to work, raise their children, grow old, and finally dissolve in the ocean of cosmic consciousness. For them, of course, their life may seem fulfilling and meaningful because they do not realize there is much more to experience and their existence is missing an essential element of willpower. They allow the external forces to direct their life and accept what they get without wanting more. Satisfaction with normal life and the feeling of comfort and safety prevents them from becoming magicians. Talked about this earlier. We'll talk a little bit more about it. In order to be a magician, you must have to step outside the structures of comfort and safety and gaze into the unknown. A gigantic potential which comes with each initiation on this path, lesser or greater, is tempting, but also very demanding. Anyone can try to be a magician, but few can handle the true essence of the art. The art. Some people may have special talents and natural magical skills, but even this will not help. If they lack persistence and genuine desire to walk the path, while those who do have any special abilities but dedicate their time, work, and energy to their personal development will progress much faster and in a more balanced way. Eventually becoming true initiates, each aspiring initiate on the draconian or left-hand path in general should constantly train, experiment, and develop one's skills and knowledge, both through theoretical studies and practical research. Okay? So, again, what are your goals? See, I would say, how you get, again, what I was talking about earlier, you can get caught up in the comfort zone. Just because you might think you're doing something for so long, like I said in the beginning, you might confuse that to being right or something that's correct. That's not necessarily the case. Okay? Talked about this, about challenging yourself, about not having any limitations, right? Setting goals. Not everybody can be a magician and master the art. As it said, you could have many different skills, right? And I see this, everybody has a lot of book knowledge. I see in all these circles, everybody's got, they'll drop all these gems on you. I read this book and this is this and this is that, blah, blah, blah. Sounds good. But then when you look at them as an example or a manifestation of the knowledge they're teaching, they can't use any of that information and apply it in their everyday life so they can master themselves. What good is it if you know all this ancient history of Egypt, but if you can't take that information from back then and update it in 2020 and apply it today, it's just historical information. It doesn't mean anything. That's the other problem. A lot of people want to live in the past. See, we have an itis amongst a lot of us who claim to be of the conscious persuasion in the conscious community. We have what I call a back in the day itis and a messiah itis. Let me explain to you what that is. The back in the day itis are the group of people who want to talk about how great we used to be. This gets me nauseous to my stomach. Back in the day, in ancient Egypt, back in our true culture, back. Sound like Chris Berman from ESPN. Back, right? I don't want to, fuck that. I get that. But what about how great we can be in 2020? Talk to me about that. If you ain't got nothing to say on that, I don't need a history lesson no more. I can pull up all that shit on my own. There's so much access to information now than there was 20 years ago with the internet. I don't need a lecture on how great we used to be. I don't need a history lesson. I can do that shit myself. I'm not impressed by your long-winded historical information on Egypt or Africa. Great. Let me give you a hand clap. Show me how I can use that shit now, in the very moment now, to be successful spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. If you cannot do that, don't waste your time talking to me. It means nothing to me. It's just words. It goes in one ear, right out the other. It means absolutely shit to me. Okay? Those are the back in the day itis people. Then we have the messiah itis people. Let me tell you who the messiah itis people are. Okay? We all probably know a few of these people. They constantly depend on somebody else for their salvation. They got to be part of groups and cliques, and they join organizations. Unfortunately, it's sad in 2020 that this still goes on, but they have this loyalty to somebody who they look up to as some godlike figure, somebody who they think he or she can give them some type of salvation. And in essence, it's just a lazy, shitty mentality, because literally you think you can buy your spiritual success just because you come up under something or somebody. That doesn't work either, people. Okay, now let me clarify something here. Doesn't mean you can't have elders and teachers. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that you cannot have elders to guide you along the path. That's not what it's saying. Okay, it is saying when you become dependent on those people, then it becomes a problem. Okay, then it becomes an issue, because then you stay trapped in a certain paradigm where you're putting your own salvation into somebody else's hands. Okay, so at what point does the individual start to take responsibility for the journey for themselves? That's the point. So we have to be able to understand the fine line between the two. Okay, that's the fine line. Okay, let's continue. All right. I left off here. Magical operation is a tool that leads to the triumph of willpower and aids in the self-initiatory process. Do that to stupid ass people like that. That's all. Okay. Another issue on this path is in belief and disbelief. Okay. That is key, because belief is another issue that keeps people, holds them back. Because what is a belief, right? Let's establish something. I've talked about this a couple of times. A belief is a couple of different things. We're not talking about religious belief. Is there personal belief in oneself? Most definitely. There most definitely is. That's a different belief. That's belief in self-empowerment. That's belief in your abilities. Because this always comes up in many circles, do we use the concept of belief on this path? Yes, we do. But that belief I just described, not the belief in faith, in things not proven, in things not seen, not that belief. We don't utilize that belief. That's religious belief. That's stuff that can't be confirmed. That's things that can't be proven. That's things that can hold you back and restrict your growth, because when you have a belief in something, sometimes the individual is programmed not to go outside of that belief. Hence, we could all obviously look at religious people. Okay? So keep that in mind. We need a lot of self-confidence and belief in what we are doing, what I was just describing. Otherwise, our magic operations will not have any effects. So what is the first thought process to gain that power, to get those results? Is having belief in yourself. Okay? So if you don't have that, so go back a few minutes ago when I was talking about self-initiation, right? If you don't believe you have the ability to self-initiate yourself into something, and if you feel like you need the traditional route, and that's up to you, that's personal, that's fine. That's up to you. That path won't work for you, okay? So that's step one. Or otherwise, your magical operations will have no effect, okay? We must believe in magic and expect that it will produce concrete results, okay? We need confidence in our personal power and ability to manifest our will. If a ritual lacks self-confidence of the operator, it will not work. So why do most rituals fail? Because the individual doesn't have confidence it's going to work, not because of anything else. So this is why people say, okay, I'll get to some of the questions later, but the book is the Draconian Ritual book. I just saw that out of the corner of my eye, by Asenath Mason. I said in the beginning, if you guys have the book, page 265 is where this section starts. If you have the digital version, because I know some people have it on digital, I don't know where it begins. because I do know sometimes the digital copies don't line up page by page. But if you do have the hard copy or you came in late, we are on page 267. So if you want to follow along and you have the book, go to page 267. I am in the last paragraph on page 267. I'm kind of jumping around. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to go through some key points. I do have some more I want to get through here. Then I will go into the chat. I'm trying to get through these next couple of pages, and then we'll discuss some more further and have, answer some more questions. All right. So what is the chief reason why somebody fails on the path? Or why their rituals don't work, or why they don't get results? Remember, the name of the video is Success and Failure on the Path to Self-Mastery. The number one reason why people fail and don't get results because they have no self. And how many of you know you've had conversations with me? Consultations, discussions, you've been in classes, and it's come up. I'm doing work, I'm doing all these rituals, but nothing's happening. Right? Nothing's happening. I'm not getting results. And I keep telling them there's something blocking you subconsciously. You're not looking hard enough. I'm trying to get them to see it's themselves. But they're focused on thinking it's a lot of external stuff. Now I'm saying there's normal external things that can create problems, right? Not the right environment. This is just basic stuff. We know that. Not being in the right setting, or maybe not being in the right mindset, trying to go into a working, stressed out, etc. I'm not talking about that stuff. We're talking more of a mental thing. When it's talking about not having confidence in the work that you're doing, that's the number one reason why people don't get results. You have to really embrace and accept that, okay? You have to really embrace and accept that and say you have the utmost confidence. This is also another reason why we always say at the end of our ritual work, so it is done, right? Not so mote it be, because so mote it be is a religious term. It's like you're putting it into the hands of some unforeseen spiritual forces that you have no control over. So we never say, so mote it be. We say, so it is done. So it is done puts that final stamp of finality on the work you did, meaning it is done. It is complete. It is finished. It is successful. I leave it there. It's a final statement of confidence. And I tell people it's very important. That little statement you make at the end of your work is more important than people probably are aware of. Okay, so it is done. Okay. We must believe in the magic and expect that it will produce concrete results. Your own personal belief, again, as that word. We need confidence in our personal power, ability to manifest our will. If ritual lacks self-confidence of the operator, it will not work. Okay. This may happen with workings that we sometimes do without any concrete purpose, just to see if they work and how. If we do not expect effects, we will probably never see any. And this may put our faith in our magical skills in question. We also need to believe in the real existence and powers of gods and spirits whose assistance is requested in our magical rituals or ceremonies, right? If we assume that an entity is merely a product of our imagination or a portion of the brain, the ritual may not have any effect, especially if we have not developed the proper confidence in our skills. This also depends on our personal view of the universe. Perception is important, right? Understanding how it manifests, or the thoughts of how they form in the mind, and how you manifest, let's say, that deity or that entity. And I've said this before, people still get a little thrown off with all is mental, mental is all, the universe is mental. We still have to understand we are creating that, what's creating that external manifestation of the deity. There is an external aspect to this. How you connect with it, though, is based on your perception of the universe. That's basically what this is about. And just to give clarity on that, as I said before, if you're reading a lot of books on Belial, let's say, and you're laying your eyes upon many different sigils and symbols and images of Belial, and you have set up an altar working with Belial, and then in your meditation or your path working or a ritual you're doing for Belial, you have this vision in your meditation, or you see an image of Belial. Well, that image, you created it by all the things you absorbed and took in. So how it manifested for you was the image you gave it, the life you gave it. So you're still having that experience, because some people get confused and think, oh, so everything is mental, everything isn't real. No, it's not real if you don't understand the point of origin of where it comes from. Is there an external aspect to this? Yes, I want to make that crystal clear. But that is personal, it becomes subjective. Because my personal aspect or my personal experience may not be exactly the same as somebody else's and vice versa. Will there be some similarities? Most definitely. But we need to understand the fine line of harmony between the subjective and the objective consciousness. This is where a big problem comes in of, call it imbalancement or lack of harmony. There are some who are super subjective and everything, they're in Space Cadetville 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they have no sense of everyday reality. We always seek that fine line that creates the harmony between the subjective and the objective. That's the point here, all right? Then it goes on to say, especially if we have not developed the proper confidence in our skills. This also depends on, we said, a personal view of the universe and its forces. But before we develop such a view, we need the actual experience and knowledge of the universe, not just an assumption of what these forces might be. Draconian path is largely about developing a strong and self-confident personality, right? On the other hand, we cannot be obsessed with megalomania, right? And should also have enough self-distance and self-criticism to everything we do. Meaning, don't have a big-ass ego where you think you know everything, okay? We have those people. They too deep for themselves. They know everything. These are the people that if you say anything against their ideas or perspectives, they got an issue with it, right? Because they feel that their approach only is correct. Their methodology is only correct. Their understanding is only correct. And I've talked about that many times before here. And as I said before, I don't expect for you to accept everything I say here as 100% truth and fact until you come to your own understanding of it. I say that all the time. You should do that with everybody, not just me. Don't take for granted what anybody tells you. Do the research yourself and come to that understanding and raise yourself up to that reality of the truth yourself. It takes on a whole different perspective. If you just start accepting shit and you haven't confirmed it for self, then you become, whether you're conscious of it or not, somebody who's stuck in religious faith and belief. Because you're assuming it's true. You have faith that it's true, but you really can't validate it. That's the problem. And that could be an issue. That could be a limit. Because then it shows you can easily be manipulated or fooled. Right? And this path, step one, is about rejecting old conformist ways of thinking. Right? That's step one. One of the first things you start to work on this path is rejecting old ways of thinking, rejecting old forms and thoughts, old dogmas, religions, philosophies. You start to question them. Okay? All right? So almost done here, and then I will go into the chat and I will take some questions. I just have, I think it's about 2 more pages. Yeah. Let me breeze through the rest of this, and then we'll go to the chat. An image of yourself as a powerful magician surrounded by demons and spirits ready to serve you at any time on your quest is tempting, but is usually far from the truth. Draconian spirits help us only if they want to, and if they find us worthy of their teachings, or if they have their own purpose in that. We do not see gods and spirits as our servants that are called to do our bidding. These are ancient and powerful beings that should be given proper respect, not worship, in order to be our guides and assist us. Notice how it says to assist, not to worship. Respect. I've always said, when you're working with certain archetypes, approach it with respect. And how you show the respect is by your knowledge and your wisdom and your understanding of the spirits and the demons you're working with. Because if that shows in your approach, again, that goes back to what I said earlier, your approach is everything. It shows that you're solid in your approach. Because when you don't have the understanding, or your approach is sloppy, it can set off quite a few triggers for a bunch of different things that can go wrong. Okay? Otherwise, they will turn away from us. Here's another reason why you don't get results. Otherwise, they will turn away from us, which will leave us without any guides and allies. And eventually, this might mean a definite failure in the spiritual ascent and the end of the path, right? There's also the question of fatigue, boredom, or the lack of inspiration to follow the path. Fatigue and passivity have become a common issue in the Western world in recent times. This type of fatigue has nothing to do with physical exhaustion or the natural state of being asleep. It is the psycho-biological, mental, and emotional loss of willpower. Remember I said earlier, motivation, goals. What's your motivation on this path? Here's the other problem. They're not getting the attention they want, right? So they get mad. So they're not being entertained, right? Nobody's paying them the mind. Nobody's showing them the attention that they crave. So they get bitter. And then they go back to doing what they were doing and then talk shit about the path as, oh, it was fucked. No, it was fucked up because you didn't get the attention that you were lacking. So you transition that as if this path wasn't for you. And you're right. That part, you're right. It's not for you. Because I could tell you this, bottom line, nobody cares. Remember what I said up there about your megalomania, your big ego. Nobody gives a shit about your ego on this path. Nobody cares who you think you are, what you think you know. That's all relevant to us. We work and we use and utilize people's skills based on the results that they produce. Okay? That's what impresses people on this path. Are you a manifestation of what you're teaching and advocating, and are you getting the results? That's the only thing that impresses me. I don't care if you went to the university of such and such. I don't care if you got a degree in this. I don't care if you've been studying a subject for 20 or 30 years. That still don't mean you've mastered it. Remember it said up there just a few minutes ago, you could have certain skills and abilities, but that may do you nothing on this path. So just because you know a lot of shit doesn't mean it's going to help you necessarily master this path, because this is an art that is not for everybody. Okay? Where the hell did I leave off? All right, here we go. The initiate seeks to control one's own life and create one's own reality. To achieve this, you need to have a great mental strength, determination, and self-awareness. You should seek to be, here's the important part, you should seek to be independent of ideas, concepts, conventions, and norms that constitute the structures of the surrounding world. By doing so, great amounts of energy can be awakened and activated. We call that tapping into the isolated consciousness, separating from a conformist mentality or way of thinking. Until you do that, these are the first stages of coming on this path. You must do that to even have, best way I could describe it is a slight chance or opportunity to even make that possible. It's the best way I could describe it, okay? Some people, as I said earlier in the beginning of the video, they bring those old ways of thinking with them on in this path, and they don't even realize it. Their approach, how they perceive things, how they do their ritual work, how they perceive certain spiritual systems. It's still bringing in the Ifa, the Christianity, Islam, and all of those traditional ways of things. And remember, if you have that list earlier talked about, if you have a list of limitations that you feel would prevent you from growing on this path, then path's not for you. Okay? All right. I'm going to skip down a little bit through here. This can be done through spiritual techniques, meditations, hypnosis, rituals, simple concentration exercises, or a wide range of other magical methods. Our mundane activities are good as well. During a simple physical exercise, the body produces more dopamine, which leads to greater efficiency and mental clarity, makes us more active, and provides energy for magical work and daily activities. We should not be afraid of changes in the physical world in our everyday reality. Meaningless things such as exhausting and boring work, tiring relationships, or annoying environments, etc., significantly reduce our vitality. All work should be done, here's an important thing, for a purpose. Confirming what I was saying earlier, we don't just do shit to be doing it. What is your purpose? No different than saying your intent. What is your purpose and intent for doing a ritual? So again, I can reflect into thousands of conversations I had over the years. Hey, BD, I want to do this ritual, blah, blah, blah. I say, okay, what's the purpose and intent of doing this ritual? Okay, well, I want to do this ritual because I'm trying to start this business, or I'm trying to put this record out. So I say, well, what steps? Where are you at now in those steps? Or is there some groundwork already laid, because some people think they don't have to do anything physical in the mundane world. They think they're just going to do a puff the magic dragon ritual, poof, and everything's going to be fixed. So now I'm saying, what's the purpose and the intent, and is it practical? Is what I'm trying to get at, right? And I'll go to something. But look, and that's why you got to go read that book of Blau, Satanic Ingredients to Black Magic. It's like doing work if you want to be a Grammy Award winning singer, right? And you don't have any singing ability or singing talent. It's not going to work. Okay? If you think this is boom, Harry Potter, shape the wand, and all of a sudden you're going to be this mind-blowing Grammy Award-winning talented singer, you might like music, you might like singing, but that just may not be for you. But what I'm saying is the purpose and the intent have to be in line, because there has to be some groundwork. Now it's different if you are a very talented and skilled singer. So now you have the groundwork laid open to open doors to say, make the right contacts, the right connects, and do ritual work in line with that. There's the difference. Again, another tip of getting results and failing on this path. Okay? Your purpose and your intent. Is it in line, and is it practical? Okay? All right? When you need to rest, you should think how much you rest. You really need, and how much of it is mere laziness and passivity. Here's another reason why people fail on this path. Straight laziness. Not managing their time. Probably up there in the top 2 or 3. Okay? They come in, they say they ain't got no time to do nothing, but they sit in front of the TV for hours upon hours. Doesn't mean you can't watch TV. It don't mean you can't watch. I love watching TV. I love sports. I probably don't watch as much movies as I would like, but if you want to be successful on this path, it's going to sacrifice some of your time. How many people just come in and say, I'm going to do something, they just sit on the couch and the whole night pisses away and they didn't do nothing. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and goes. Oh, I'll do it the next day. The next day comes and goes. I'll do it next week. Comes and goes. I'll do it next month. So a lot of it, that's a man, I can't stress how that's a key component of why people fail on this path. They don't know how to manage their time and they're lazy as shit. Which ties back into what? Consistency. No consistency in what they do. Now you have to be careful, because there is a fine line. You should never force or rush ritual work just to be doing it. That's not a good thing either. You shouldn't, like, let's say you had a long day, you come in, you're tired, and you might have had something planned, right? But you're not in the right mental mind frame, you're tired, you're just not in the right vibration, right mood or energy. That's where you need to catch yourself to and put it on pause. That can also be another disruptive factor of why you don't get results. Because some people force themselves. First of all, step 1 is if you got to force yourself to do a ritual, then there's your answer. You shouldn't do it. Because I can tell you what the end result is going to be. It's not going to be good. Okay? We're not talking about something chaotic on the fly that needs to be done right there on the spot. We're talking about you intentionally going into a ritual. And you know you're tired. You know you might be a little bit stressed out. You're exhausted or whatever. Not a good combination. Put it on pause. Do it another time, because you're wasting your time. Okay? All right. All right. There is nothing wrong with being lazy from time to time, but if it becomes a routine, it will certainly affect, okay? It will certainly affect your development, your magical work, and slow down your spiritual development. Your energy level will decrease and you will have problems with performing a simple magical exercise in an effective way. This in turn will discourage you from further practice, and eventually you may end up weakened, bored, lacking satisfaction from your magical work, and incapable of finding inspiration and desire to continue. Fatigue and passivity are a reason why many magicians leave their paths. Just what I was talking about earlier, right? And turn to others in search for a new kick. What's the new thing that can entertain me? Because it's not going my way. Oh, I didn't know I had to actually do work. I didn't know. Oh, wait, you mean I actually got to get up from my ass and do something? Oh, I thought this was just, Mickey Mouse Club. I sign, get the membership, and I'm in the club. No, it's work. Then when you see that you are trapped because you're still doing lazy stuff, And then this is the explanation why you get no results. See that? It's that simple. It's not that complicated. So don't develop routines where you can get complacent, where you could set certain goals and you don't carry them out, as we just described. Managing your time is one of the most critical components in that. Some people don't worry about that. That's all we do. Dumbasses like that. There we go. Yeah, we have a few trolls trying to bust in tonight. They can keep coming in all they want. All we do is just delete them. All right, so don't get complacent with managing your time. Okay? Because I have to say this is probably up there in the top 2 or 3 reasons. I hear this all. I don't have the time. I'm so busy. I'm working. Shit. Everybody today can use that excuse. Everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Well, unless you're fortunate to be sitting at home all day, that's a different story. All right. Then it goes on to say, so then they search for a new kick. While in fact this is not a solution, as the same will probably happen again and again if they do not realize the true mechanism behind their failure. How many people do we know they jump from spiritual path to spiritual path? I've talked about this before over the years. You might see somebody, I'm talking about maybe not somebody who's a personal or close friend or acquaintance, somebody you run into every once in a while. And every time you see them, they're into something else. They used to be this, then they're that. That's because when they're not getting what they want out of where they were at, they tend to slide over to something else. And then they think they're going to get the gratification there. That doesn't pan out. Then they get the gratification, they leave that and something else, and that doesn't pan out. And they're not realizing the mechanism of their failure, as the book is describing, is themselves. What? Their approach, their perspective. They thought it was just, oh, I'm going to join this and become this, and that's it. It's just that's it. I don't need to do anything. I'm in the club. I got the membership. So it doesn't work like that. All right. All right. The draconian magician should always be as creative and active as possible on all levels of existence. Even recreation should be organized consciously and serve a specific purpose. This may seem strange, and you will probably think this is all exaggeration, but the truth is, if you want to succeed on the draconian path, or the left-hand path in general, you have to rearrange your entire life to suit your path. You have to rearrange your entire life to suit your path, not John Doe's path or Jane Doe's path, not following somebody else. The solution isn't joining a group or organization that does everything exactly the same, because that particular path may not suit your needs, so it may not work for you. You have to make that adjustment and that arrangement in accordance with your life. It's different. That's what we do, right? Every action has to be conscious and needs to serve a purpose. Otherwise, it will be a mere waste of energy. Sounds overwhelming. Well, it is at first, but you can get used to this way of thinking. If you treat your magical work as a way to knowledge, power, and mastery of the world, at whatever cost or effort it may come, you will eventually get to the level where all these dreams come true. So here's the great rewarding part. Is it easy? No. Can it be overwhelming? Yes. But in time, through your consistency and consistent work, that starts to dissipate. And then the true rewards start to manifest when you have obtained that level of consistency. It never comes if you don't. I don't care. Let me stress again. Doesn't mean you can't have moments. Because I know some people say, I just did this ritual the other day. Yeah, I'm sure everybody gets moments of success, but we're not talking about moments. We're talking about consistency, okay? That's when it starts to change, all right? You eventually get to the level where all these things come true if you treat it as a mere hobby that you can do from time to time. That's what I was talking about earlier, the dabblers. Without sacrificing anything, this is also what you will have, a hobby without any deeper meaning or real power behind it. That's what I was talking about earlier, okay? Then it's just, you're a dabbler. You read books on the occult left-hand path, you know a little knowledge, you might practice a few things here and there, but it's a hobby. That's a great way to describe it. It's just a hobby, okay? There's no single way to approach the draconian or the left-hand path, but below you will find a few tips that will make you aware of what you should pay attention to. And I'm going to finish with these last section on tips, and then we're done. All right. These are things you should pay attention to start on the path, make it a little bit easier. If you are an advanced practitioner, you probably already know some of these things I'm going to get ready. But I'm going to stress the importance of these little things and simple exercises and have the mind open for new experiences. So let's finish with these last key principles. All right. Here's some tips. How you can really gauge to are you failing or succeeding or getting results on your path to self-mastery. Do your magical practice daily, no excuse. If you go to work, do it during your break or after the working hours. If you are sick, find a moment when you feel a little better. If you are tired, pick a working that will give you energy. This can be simple cleansing practice, empowering your chakras, or a meditative exercise. So it's no excuse, right? But it has to be done on a regular basis. Work on your self-discipline. You will need it more than anything else in further stages of the path. That's step one. The next one, do not waste your energy on self-pity, excuses, or petty problems that can be solved with a little bit of effort. Try to find simple solutions to your everyday problems before you try to solve them through magic. And I talk about this with using what we call a GBM, MBM, or LBM, right? LBM is lesser black magic, MBM is medial black magic, and GBM is greater black magic. Sometimes people are using greater black magic for reasons they don't need to use it. You should always try to resolve or solve problems first in a very basic, mundane way. When that doesn't work, then you go through the stages of applying different methods of magic. That's a process, because if not, you're wasting your energy. And greater black magic, GBM, should not be used all the time. Because if you're finding yourself to use that constantly, something's wrong. There's something wrong with you. You're not linked in or tapped into the frequency and the energy right. Same thing for people who are always doing protective work against something or somebody, right? If you're doing that type of work all the time, something wrong with you. It's not just the people you're trying to protect yourself from. There's some disconnect there that you're not connecting. All right? So do not waste your energy on these things. Try to find simple solutions before you try to solve them through magic. By allowing for this sort of self-vampirism, you degrade yourself and deny everything that you have learned. Work actively to awaken your dragon potential and energy through rituals, Kundalini meditations, chakra work, and other empowering exercises. I always talk about that. A lot of the students in the mentorship program, they just went through a whole Kundalini practice, showing you how you raise the serpent or Kundalini energy, how it's important to charge yourself up. And the importance and the connection of the chakras on this path. That's an important tip there, all right? Pay attention to your personal temple as well as your body and mind. Keep your personal temple clean, powerful, and strengthen yourself on a regular basis, right? That's physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? Your physical temple and your spiritual temple, right? Learn to schedule your time. There's a time for work and there's also a time for rest, right? We talked about the management of time, important. Balance them carefully and do not feel guilty if you take a few days off without any magical work at all. And that'll happen. And I catch myself having to do that, where I go through periods maybe of 10 days, 2 weeks straight. And then I need about 2, maybe 3 days where I don't do anything because I'm listening to my personal daemon or higher self saying it's time to just fall back, take a little break, a refresher, right? This is called managing your time and understanding how to utilize that time and listening to your personal daemon or your higher self, right? When you need it, use this time to restore your energy level. If you do not control your fatigue, it controls you. All right, we have 5 more tips to get through and then we're done. Learn to use energy released through magical work to achieve concrete results. Define your goals, and work to accomplish them. By doing this on a regular basis, you observe manifestation of your skills and abilities. You will generate energy to overcome fatigue and passivity. Become obsessed with what you are doing. Self-discipline is one way to achieve your goals. Obsession is another. When you do something, do it with your full attention, energy, time. Let it become your obsession until you finish work and achieve the expected results. Let yourself be carried on the wings of inspiration and intoxicate yourself with passion for your work. Combine self-discipline and obsession for better results and experiments with both. All right. Last three, when you do a ritual, keep your focus on the magical work. Everything else is left outside the temple. That's why you have to be focused when you're doing your rituals. You have to be zoomed in on the intent. All focus has to be on it. You can't have all those outside distractions. That's another key component why people fail, in addition to being lazy and not managing their time. During magical operations, you must be fully focused in your practice. And then the last two, do not take magic or your powers for granted. Once you start doing your magical operations on a regular basis, the initiation thrill will fade away and you will begin to view your magical work as just another part of your life. So don't become mundane and structural in what you do. This may result in a lack of inspiration for further work, boredom in general. In other words, your magical progress may become stagnant. To avoid it, you should always approach your rituals with awe and excitement. Again, being in the right frame of mind. Develop respect for powers you have and forces that aid in your work, and be thankful to the gods, the spirits, or the demons that are helping you in your growth because they want to, not because they are obeying you. Never take their assistance for granted. It's not about a worship system. It's not a barter system. Do this for me, I'll do this for you. That's all traditional religion shit. We are working side by side with these energies. When you show that your understanding through your knowledge and your wisdom is in line with the intent, and they see that, then you work side by side. You walk with them, not behind them, not in front of them, right? You become them, they become you. That's the difference, not worship. And then the last one, always search for new inspirations and new opportunities. Remember, always challenge yourself, right? I always talk about that. Never get complacent on this path. You should always be finding new ways to challenge yourself, new things to study and experience and learn, okay? The world is full of exciting things. As long as you keep an open mind and remain receptive to whatever the path may bring, you will find yourself moving constantly and consistently toward your godhood, successfully overcoming obstacles and achieving your short and long-term goals. If you keep being optimistic and self-confident about your magical progress, inspiration and power will flow to you from all around, empowering your magical work and transforming your reality into one great manifestation of your will. All right, that completes that. So hopefully that gives you now a clearer understanding of why you might be succeeding or failing on this path. I think that's a lot of it is self-explanatory. Hopefully you apply this. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back, and then I will finish up with taking some questions and comments from the chat. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm going to go up to the top. I'll try to get to, can't guarantee I'm going to be able to get to everything. So let me go up to the top and I'll go right in order. Just real quick for the last time while I'm here, before I don't forget, before we finish, reminder, the Journey of the Black Adept Conference 3, that starts Friday. We have the whole itinerary is posted. You can see the full list of presenters on, if you go on to the Primordial Chaos 9 Instagram page, you can see the 4 presentations that we will be having on Friday, followed by a ritual later in the evening at 9 o'clock. Same thing on Saturday, same format, about 11 to 4:30ish. And then a second ritual Saturday night. The rituals will be given to those who signed up on the first day of the conference. Those rituals are not posted. We're not putting that there openly. And then Sunday, question and answer class. So we have 8 presentations broken up into 2 days, 4 and 4, 2 rituals, and a class on Sunday. It is a 3-day event. The total cost for the conference is $75. That covers all 3 days. You can pay for it by PayPal using the khnum19@gmail.com email address. Again, when you send your PayPal payment, please include your name and your email address so we send the link to the correct email. Everybody will get their link by Thursday. I'm sending it out the day before so I can include everybody in that and not have to send a whole bunch of separate emails. The cutoff to sign up for the Journey of the Black Adept Conference #3 is Friday morning at 9 a.m. After that, that's pretty much a wrap. So that's the focus for this week. You can still contact me and set up a reading or a consultation. I'll be back at that starting next week. I won't be doing that until Wednesday. After that, I'll be shutting down and then picking that back up the following week. But you can still book an appointment if you want. No problem. And then we'll get back kind of to a regular schedule. I will be having an upcoming open class for the month of November, end of November, early December. I'll put that up. And there'll be some new events for Patreon in the month of November. I'd encourage you to check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/Beniti, Baniti. All right. So let's see if we get to a few of these questions. All right, so infernal blessings to all. I'm going to skip the greetings. I appreciate everybody. Glad to see those that made it. Goldes, total consistency and understanding. Definitely, consistency is super important. Shout out to Brother Angel. Matter of fact, Angel Figueroa, one of the moderators that's in there now, he'll be doing a presentation on Palo Mayembe, African witchcraft and sorcery. So he'll be doing that on Friday. He's the second presenter. Okay. What else we got? Shout out to Brother Kenneth, MC. What's going on? Gypsy Merv, yeah. So you must have ran into some Masonic character. Yeah, some of them are characters. Then Gypsy Mermaid says, I honestly attest after my first ritual and meeting with Beniti Amara was a major life change. Yes, you've been to a few of them. You do your work when it changed after meetings. I recommend his readings wholeheartedly. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yvette confirms Beniti is accurate in his readings. I appreciate that. Thank you. What else we got? Yes, VL's Corner says, like Michael Jordan says, just do it. Fuck, it's true. Just it's that simple. But you have to do it without any restrictions. You can't. Believe me, I know it's not easy, especially when you've come from something you've been doing so long. But the challenge is to just forget all that. Remember, if you go back years back when I first started the channel in the beginning, I started talking a lot about reprogramming the subconscious mind. Part of mastering magic, that's one of the key components too. Reprogramming the subconscious mind and reteaching yourself everything you've been taught. It's not an easy thing. It's challenging. So that's a good approach. You just got to do it. Don't block out all the old stuff, because if you lag behind and get stuck in it, it's going to create a problem. So yeah, you just got to do it, right? Ashara Nocturnalist says the power of self-initiation means this is a good point, not needing a constant pat on the back and approval by others, but finding satisfaction and relying on your own self-assertion and private magical experiences. That's it. And if you don't believe in that wholeheartedly, personal belief, not religious belief, then you're going to fail. If you think you need something other than yourself, now again, I want to stress this. As I said earlier, it doesn't mean you can't have elders, teachers, guides, people to get advice from. Okay, I'm not saying that. I consider myself a person like that. But I also teach people how to walk the path and do it on their own. It's okay to have teachers and guides, but as long as you take that journey and as long as you're doing the work to master yourself and you're not solely dependent on it, we're always going to need teachers and guides and elders. That's a part of this. And we respect our teachers, guides, and elders on this path. We all have many of them. I've come up under many of them. I still respect them. I still confide in them when I need to. But I know at the end of the day, when it's me in that chamber room alone, I know at the end of the day, in order for me to get the results I'm trying to achieve, that's dependent on me. It's not going to come through my teacher, my guide, my elder, right? I utilize the wisdom I get from them and I apply it on mastering myself. So it doesn't mean you can't have teachers, guides, and elders. That's not what I'm saying. But some people approach it, they think if they have somebody like that, like, oh, I got my, get pass free card into spiritual bliss or whatever. All right. What else we got? Yeah, the flat earth shit. I don't know. Remember when that was big a couple of years ago? That kind of died out, right? I think. I don't really stay up on a lot of it. I remember, what was it, about 2-3 years ago, maybe, or less. That was like a big topic. Okay. Okay, so on Facebook, that's the book. It's still here. Kalia, if I'm saying your name right. It's the Draconian Ritual book by Aseneth Mason. Okay. Not sure if you're still here. I'll look in the link too. If you're gone, I'll try to send you the link. All right. What else we got? What is that? Dark energy. True Beauty says dark energy and matter takes up 90% of the. Stop typing. I know you were going somewhere with it. Maybe there's something to type down and the rest of it. Positive Journey says, I plan on taking one of your lessons to help evolve past my mundane self. You hit it. Oh, definitely. When you're ready, you just hit me up. That's what the classes are about. That's what the mentorship program is about. To show all the things we kind of talked about today, I show you that. I show you basically what this is talking about, how to go about it, how to do it. But again, putting your own personal touch on it that fits your life. But this is what the purpose of the mentorship program is, to get you through that, to show you how to get the results, how to work the magic, how to be consistent, how to master yourself. That's the purpose of the program. And the classes really in general. And we'll be talking a lot about that in the conference over the weekend with the 8 different presenters. And I think the beauty of it is we got a lot of good different presentations. We're covering a lot of different ground and topics. And I think each one is bringing something to the table that's going to offer something beneficial that'll help you guys. Okay. Angel says, isn't the root word of initiation means to start something? Yeah, to initiate, correct. Self-initiation would be the same as starting, right? Because the word initiation has a root in the word to initiate, right? When it says to initiate something, right? It's to start something, that's correct. So when you initiate yourself into something, you are starting on a new journey or a new path when we're talking about spiritually and about this path. So most definitely, that is what you're doing. You're initiating a new beginning, a change, a transformation. That's what initiation does. It brings change, right? And usually a self-initiation rite or ritual brings that change. And really, in essence, it's a good point because ritual in general is a form of initiation. When you really look at it in its totality, ritual itself is a form of initiation. So we're constantly initiating these new stages of transformation. But that's a great way to look at it. Why do so many people choose to go to the religious spooky route? Why willingly limit yourself? That's my question. That's a good question, VL. One thing I've learned to understand that is when you start to grow on this path, you got to also take into account you're perceiving it based on your understanding and knowledge. You have the experience, so you know. And it can get a little frustrating because when you know and then you look at people in that regard, it becomes tough. It's just simply due to the fact, just remember, they're just not, their perception and understanding is just not in line with yours. So most of the people that go that route are usually very insecure. There's a lot of fears they're running from. They're lazy. They just don't want to take time to do the work. There's many factors that factor into it, but it's basically, you got to keep in mind, they're not at that level of understanding that you are. Ginny. Yeah, I said Reverend Pork Chop earlier. Most out. Pass the plate. You know, they pass the plate. So Reverend Pork Chop passed the plate. Yeah, you know, they always got the game. What else we got? Serpent-headed mask. To get out of religious paradigms, you got to use spherical thinking and not linear thinking. That's true. Linear thinking, whether that's the concept of linear time or linear in general, is structured thinking. Essence, that's a great statement. Once you get out of that structured way of thinking, doors of possibilities are limitless. You got to get out of that linear way of thinking. Again, the book was the Draconian Ritual book by Asenath Mason. The section I was going through starts on page 265. It's about 7 pages. It's a great book for beginners. Don't necessarily not just for beginners. There's a lot. I actually use a lot of this information with students in the beginning of the program. But it's one thing having the information, but it's another thing obviously applying. All right. So that's the book. Patrick's Music Central says this topic is a prelude to my presentation, Brother B, for the conference. Many practitioners have to realize the reason why manifestation is a problem, lack of shadow work and knowing yourself. Yeah. And I will actually, it's funny you bring that up. That's what my presentation on is. I'm going to show you in the conference how to do shadow work by using dark alchemy. I'm going to take you through the 7 operations of it. Because most people talk about doing shadow work, but I find that most don't even have a methodology to identify what type of shadow work they need to do. There is a process to it, and I'll be doing that in the conference too. So that's good. That'll kind of line up. Cool. Catch 22 says, I think where I get tripped up with my workings and rituals, getting hung up on how it is going to happen, and then a little anxiety creeps in and sometimes doubt, and then I get all frustrated. Man, I'm glad you shared that, because that is another huge problem that a lot of people experience. The way to eliminate that, and I'm glad you bring this up, because this is something earlier I had in my mind. I kind of wanted to interject, but I forgot. And by your statement there, you reminded me. All right, that happens a lot. Here's the reason why that happens. Stop having preconceived notions before you go into the work. The simple way of doing that, just let be. Don't go in, don't overthink it, because you can over intellectualize, you can even over plan where you get too constricted, because as you say, you're trying to figure out or see or think of how it's all going to happen, right? Let it be. And sometimes the beauty of it may not happen at all the way you planned it, but a greater outcome comes because you go into it, I don't want to say with an open mind, because that's religious, with a clear mind. So clear your mind of any preconceived thoughts and notions. Don't worry about, did I make a mistake? Don't worry about, even if this is where I say people can overthink it. You might have had a way you planned it out, and then I watch how people get frustrated during the ritual. They might forget a step, and it throws them off. It throws their thinking off, and just keep continuing. I've done that plenty of times in rituals where I planned something, I forgot to do a step, but I learned that this might just move, keep moving, keep going. Because remember, there's no religious person keeping score, like judging. This is about your intent. And if your intent is in line, even if the ritual doesn't go exactly according to plan and how you laid it out, you could still get great results if you're still focused on the overall goal. So that is a common thing that happens a lot to people. And that's where the frustration comes in and the doubt comes in, because then you start to second guess yourself. Did I do something wrong? I don't feel like I did this or that, because what you're doing subconsciously is you're getting hung up, as you said, on how it's going to happen. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Make it happen. And if it happens if it happens differently from the way you planned it, so be it. Just let it flow. And you'll find out, once you take that open-minded, free-flowing approach, you'll start getting better results. You won't get frustrated. All right. Shara Nocturna says, I've also realized that some rituals take extra long to manifest, but when they do manifest, it is obvious that it was due to a specific ritual. Remember, patience, right? One of the things we went over in the book, another reason why people fail, and while some who get good results have that patience, and patience is a hard school to master. It's a lifelong lesson. I don't care how young or old you are. That's something we all have to work on every day. Okay. And that was one of the lines between succeeding and failing, mastering the school of patience. So that's good. When you have that understanding, there are workings that extend over long periods of time, or rituals, 7, 14, 21 days, months. I've done ritual workings that last for months. I'm in the midst of a year working with the Masks of Lucifer, which is 6 days for each month. It's 72 workings, 6 in each month. It's a year-long working. So I might not see, I'm seeing some, but I may not see the full benefits of that until I'm done. But I am seeing benefits as far as results along the way. right out the gate, because obviously I'm confident in this, and I see the results. I mean, almost instantaneously, and I can only wonder what's down the road after the full year is done. So again, understanding that is key. So that's another good point. Studio Carlene B says, yeah, I have so much learning to do. It's harder than I thought, but I'm determined. As long as you got that determination, you'll succeed. Remember, it's patience, but remember also, you're taking a long walk on a short path, meaning there's a lot to learn in a short period of time. So just be patient, and if you have that determination, you'll be successful. Because remember, determination or your attitude is all aligned with your approach. Make sure you approach it with that. You'll be fine. Allow spirits and ask them to accomplish a ritual within a set time frame. Have you found spirits honor these time frames? I'm new to channeling. I found you got to be careful with that. Two things I found with that. One, it depends on the spirit that you're working with, because some spirits work through, they have what the Catholic Church, for an example, calls a novena, which just means something over 9-day period of time. So there are workings that have been shown to work, like especially spirits that align with certain numbers in numerology, that can be effective. Now, having said all that, I've found I don't really put a time frame on anything, because I work more along the lines, like for an example, if it's finances, I try to work with the consistency of finances, whereas some people might go into a magical ritual and work with a specific amount for a specific time period. That's fine. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm more or less focused on overall consistency, and I don't put time restraints on something. Now, I found if you're working, like say on behalf of somebody terminally ill or somebody that's sick, and there has to be a certain time frame on it, that's different. So I'm saying all this to say, understand the type of work you're doing, what energy you're working with, and the best approach. But what I'm essentially saying in a nutshell, if I don't have to put any time frame on it, I don't, because I'm more concerned with the overall consistency. Okay. But it's a good question. All right, what else we got? Cicerus, what's going on, brother? I believe that's Brother Fashad. Dan Ed Gibbs, hello. It's such an honor this beautiful Sunday. Hello to you too. Appreciate that. Yeah, Catch 22. There was a couple of trolls in here earlier. But see, I talk. We don't get them a lot in here. We get them occasionally because they have nothing better to do. I find it funny in the channel when you go on somebody's channel how a troll will stay in there. Obviously, you're saying something that's striking the nerve. And then, like I said before, my job is done. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. If it strikes a nerve, it's getting you to think a different way. My job is accomplished. That's it. But it amazes me how somebody would waste their time, because I would damn if I be in somebody's, I don't care if it's Facebook, YouTube, and there's many channels I'll browse on YouTube. I'll go into the chat. If I don't like the content, I just leave. I don't stay in there and troll nobody. It's a waste of my time and energy. But these are people that obviously have no life. But they will go to any lengths to try to come into the channel and disrupt. So again, like the book said there, don't waste your time and energy. The old Beniti would have gotten to a heated debate with him, but I realize as I'm older, it's a waste of time. So the easiest thing is I just take this hand right here, I grab the mouse, boop, take you out of the room. Guess what? Problem solved. I'm not wasting no energy and no time. It is what it is. It's kind of funny though. But anyway, what else we got? Ishara Nocturna says, the more awakened you become, your magical drive to improve leaves little room for sleep or rest. That's true. Catch 22 says, I've learned that in other groups that I've joined, not necessarily with mastery itself, but understanding one size does not, this is a good point here, one size does not fit all is a whole concept to me to really understand. Glad I got now. And that's an excellent point. This is the problem with being, let's say, completely loyal to a specific spiritual system, a group or religion or organization, because of what Catch 22 just said there. You find if you're a more free thinker and you're really open to learning, you always seem to get to a point where you've outgrown the ideology. Or as you described, just the one size thing doesn't fit all. And then when you're in these restrictive ways of thinking, if you start thinking outside the box, then you're ostracized or you're made to look at as a bad person. Oh, you're not part of the group, or you're causing problems, or you got a difference of an opinion. I went through that years ago, trust me. So that's the problem. The one size doesn't fit all because you can't have your own opinions. You can't think, be a free thinker. And most people that leave those old paradigms, these are the true people that this path is really meant for, because it gives them the liberty or freedom to explore and understand themselves and become the best that they can be. But that's a great point. That's the problem. One size philosophy for all doesn't work. All right, what else we got? Oh, hold on, skip. All right. So Serpent-Headed Mass says, I've got to get involved in your mentorship program. Just bought a house and a new vehicle, so finance has been tight. But once I see what I got to work with, I will move on that. Well, whenever you're ready, just hit me up. Lusty Classy Cat says hello. Hello to you. Kenneth, no, the conference will not be recorded. It's just too much. It's hours of material, and no, I know a couple people have emailed me on that. I keep this event it's an experience that you just need to experience in the moment in time. I do that also for the rituals or the live events that we do here. I don't record it. I just do a little sneak peek at the end. It's too much recording, too many hours. No, so the conference will not be recorded. You will have to be there and participate in it. Okay, putting that out there for everybody, not just Kenneth. Okay. Brother Gumbo says, Brother Gum, like the name. The conference next week. If one has to work but wants to participate, will the presentation? Okay, same question. Unfortunately, no. Not sure. I know there's a few people that may not be able to be there for all of them. For the most, it's just too much to do. Yes, I could record them. It takes up a lot of space. But it's not even just that. It's not even the fact of that. I'm trying to keep this as a very personal. It's one of those things, like, look at it like this, and there's a reason why I do it. Especially only on an event like this. It's one of those things, like, you reflect back years ago if you went to an event or a party and you had to be there to experience it. It's that type of thing. And it keeps it more, I don't want to say personal, it keeps it more sanctified, if that's the right word, and more personal. So that's the reason, okay? So hopefully that answers that question. All right, Alchemy, Azazel Goddess, OBK, will you briefly explain drama-like energy? Is this the same as Lucifer? Thanks. It's not quite the same as Lucifer. It is a mask of Lucifer, a drama-like. I'll do the real quick. I've actually done videos on this. It's also in line with the mask of Melech Taus, right? A drama-like and Melech Taus. And again, it depends on what grimoires you read. Some say it's exactly the same. Now, whether you're talking about a Dramalek, whether you're talking about Melech Taus, or some even say Belial is a separate spirit by itself, whereas another manifestation of mask of Lucifer. I think the important thing to focus on, I would look at them as masks of the adversary, because they're different masks because they all represent a different energy. Now, a Dramalek / Melech Taus, I have a whole bottom of my altar constructed for Melech Taus and the Dramalek. A great deity, very similar. We did a ritual last night on the Patreon page with Mephistopheles or Mephisto, right? He's very similar energy. I don't like to use the word trickster spirit, but all of them, whether you're a Dramalek, Melech Taus, Mephistopheles, they're known as the great tricksters. They provide great power, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, financial prosperity. But they will definitely bring out or put challenges in your path to bring out that divine in you. Some refer to them as, I don't like to use this word, but you'll see in some writings referred to as trickster spirits. Not because they will trick you and bad things will happen. They will, again, put challenges in your path. Melech Taus or Dramalek is very good for that. But when he sees the initiate has the understanding, the knowledge, the wisdom, he is or will open those paths or doorways to great prosperity on all levels, even physical, mental. Now, I know a lot of people work with a Dramalek for finances, but it goes beyond just finances. But that's one of the key components that he's known for. But I also, I connect with Melech Taus / a Dramalek. It comes off as a great mystic, a great sage. There's a lot of knowledge you can be gained by working with that particular spirit on this path. I've done videos in the archives on it. If you don't know, when you have some more time, because I'm about to wrap this up in a few minutes. You'll see there's a whole video titled Melic Talents where I get into all that. But yes, I would look at it in a nutshell. Is it the same as Lucifer? Yes and no, because it just depends on your perception and what spiritual paths you studied under, what books and authors you've read. I look at it more as a mask, another aspect of the adversary. Some have a different perception on it. It could be one and the same. It could be separate. And Belial is big in that category. I've read authors or some occultists or teachers over the years consider them to be the same, and some consider Belial to be a separate entity, a spirit in itself. Again, my thing is I just would educate myself on what the spirit represents and work with it in that regards. That's the more important thing. But it's a good question. All right. Yeah, you get the trolls. All right, I think we're. Yeah, that's it. All right. So we are going to wrap it up. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, I will not probably be back on YouTube, not next week, but the week after because of the conference. I try to do one class a week on here. That's it. But due to the conference, I will not be on next week. So again, that starts Friday, 11 a.m., 3-day event, $75 for all 3 days. You can shoot a payment through the PayPal using the canoom19@gmail.com. Use that email, and when you send your PayPal payment, please include in the notes your name and email. Yes, in the shower, with that ritual we're going to be doing on the Sabbath or Halloween is going to be powerful. The conference, I just wish it would have been nice if we had everybody here in person because this year it falls on Halloween, which is All Souls Eve, as they say in the liturgical calendar, right? So it's going to be good. A lot of energy. It's falling on the right time. We're going to make the best of it. We're going to use the tools and make the best of it. But again, you have until Friday morning, 9 a.m. to sign up for the conference. So that gives people the rest of this week to make those decisions if they're able to participate. And I know I have a couple of people who might miss a few presentations, but they still signed up. If you're going to miss one or two, you can catch up on a lot of that in the question and answer. But other than that, I appreciate you guys' time. We'll talk soon. Infernal blessings. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.